Little Miss Sunshine is a 2006 American tragicomedy, two-road film directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris in their directorial debut, from a screenplay written by Michael Arndt. The film stars an ensemble cast consisting of Greg Kinnear, Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Paul Dano, Abigail Breslin, and Alan Arkin, all of whom play members of a dysfunctional family taking the youngest, Breslin, to compete in a child beauty pageant. Abigail Breslin's breakout performance in the film earned her an Academy Award nomination. The film tackles themes of family, depression, self-acceptance, and finding meaning in absurd conditions. It was produced by Big Beach Films on a budget of $8 million. Filming began on June 6, 2005, and took place over 30 days in Arizona and Southern California. The film premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 20, 2006, and its distribution rights were bought by Fox Searchlight Pictures for one of the biggest deals made in the history of the festival. The film had a limited release in the United States on July 26, 2006, and expanded to a wider release starting on August 18. Little Miss Sunshine was a box office success, earning $101 million. It garnered critical praise for its performances, particularly Breslin's and Arkin's, as well as for its directing, screenplay, and humor. It earned 4 nominations at the 79th Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Arndt and Arkin won Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor, respectively, and Breslin was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. It also won the Independent Spirit Award for Best Feature and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture and received numerous other accolades. Plot: Cheryl Hoover is a mother of 2 living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her husband Richard is an aspiring motivational speaker and life coach. Dwayne, Cheryl's Nietzsche-reading teenage son from a previous marriage, has taken a vow of silence until he accomplishes his dream of becoming a fighter pilot. Cheryl's older brother Frank, a gay scholar of Proust, is living with the family after having attempted suicide. Richard's profane father Edwin is also living with the family after being evicted from a retirement home for snorting heroin. Olive, Richard and Cheryl's young daughter, is an aspiring beauty queen coached by Edwin. Olive learns she is qualified for the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant being held in Redondo Beach, California, in 2 days. Richard, Cheryl, and Edwin want to support her, and Frank and Dwayne cannot be left alone, so the whole family attends. Due to financial constraints, they go on an 800-mile, 1,300 kilometers road trip in their yellow Volkswagen van. Family tensions play out along the way, amidst the aging van's mechanical problems. When the van breaks down early on, the family learns that they must push it until it is moving at about 20 miles per hour, 32 kilometers per hour, before it is put into gear, at which point they have to run up to the side door and jump in. Later on, the van's horn starts honking unceasingly by itself, which leads to the family being pulled over by a state trooper. The 1979 Volkswagen Type 2 used in the movie, here at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. Throughout the trip, the family suffers numerous personal setbacks and discovers their need for each other's support. Richard loses an important contract that would have jump-started his motivational business. Frank embarrassingly encounters the ex-boyfriend who, in leaving him for an academic rival, had prompted his suicide attempt. Edwin fatally overdoses on heroin. When the grief counselor refuses to let the family leave his corpse at the hospital while they go to the pageant and return later, they smuggle it into the van, almost getting caught by the police. During the final leg of the trip, Dwayne discovers he is colorblind, meaning he cannot become a pilot. This revelation prompts him to finally break his silence and shout his disdain for his family, though he apologizes after Olive calms him with a hug. After a frantic race against the clock, with the body beginning to stink in the back, the family arrives at the pageant hotel. Cheryl prepares Olive for her performance while Richard is looking into arrangements for Edwin's body. As the pageant begins, Richard and Dwayne realize that the other contestants are slim, sexualized preteen girls who perform elaborate dance numbers with great panache. Knowing that the amateur Olive is certain to be humiliated, they try to talk her out of performing. Cheryl insists that they let Olive be Olive, and Olive goes on stage. The hitherto unseen dance routine Edwin had taught Olive is revealed to be a striptease performed to the Rock-a-Sound remix of Rick James' Super Freak. Olive's performance horrifies and angers most of the audience and organizers, who demand she be removed from the stage. However, before they can do so, the members of the Hoover family join Olive on stage and dance alongside her to show their support. The family is later released from the hotel's security office on the condition that Olive never enters a beauty pageant in California again. Piling into the van with the horns still honking, they happily smash through the barrier of the hotel's toll booth and begin their trip back home to Albuquerque.
Cast:
Greg Kinnear as Richard, Toni Collette as Cheryl, Steve Carell as Frank,
Paul Dano as Dwayne,
Abigail Breslin as Olive, Alan Arkin as Grandpa, Bryan Cranston as Stan Grossman, Beth Grant as Pageant Official Jenkins, Wallace Langham as Kirby, Matt Winston as Pageant MC, Julio Oscar Machoso as Mechanic, Paula Newsome as Linda, Dean Norris as State Trooper McCleary, Mary Lynn Rajskub as Pageant Assistant Pam, Mel Rodriguez as Officer Martinez.
Production, casting.
You start off with all these people living their separate lives, and the climax of the movie is them all jumping up on stage together. So the story is really about these families starting separately and ending together. Michael Arndt, writer, 5. When choosing the cast for the film, directors Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris were assisted by casting directors Kim Davis and Justine Baddeley, who had worked with them on previous music videos. 6. Davis and Baddeley traveled to every English-speaking country, 6, to search for the actress to portray Olive Hoover, and they finally chose actress Abigail Breslin through an audition when she was 6. Paul Dano was cast as Dwayne 2 years before production began, and in preparation for portraying his character, spent a few days taking his own vow of silence. 7. The role of Frank, the suicidal Proust scholar, was originally written for Bill Murray, and there was also studio pressure for Robin Williams. 8. The directing duo chose Steve Carell for the role a few months before filming began, and in an interview revealed, "When we met with Steve Carell, we didn't know he could do this based upon what he had done. But when we met with him and talked to him about the character, the tone of the movie, and the way we were approaching it, he was right on the same page with us." 6. Although known to Comedy Central viewers for many years as a correspondent on the highly rated satirical news program The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, at the time Carell was cast for Little Miss Sunshine, he was relatively unknown in Hollywood. 9. Producers of the film were worried that he was not a big enough star, and